Football season has officially come to a close for the Vikings. I'm Carla Metz, and welcome to Augustana All Access. We've got volleyball, swimming, and a little bit of basketball, but this week we're using the episode to say a final goodbye to the 2016 football season. Augustana wrapped up with a win over Southwest Minnesota State, finishing with a record of 8-3, but we won't say goodbye without talking about how historical this season has been for the Vikings. But before we get to that, let's look back at the highlights against the Mustangs. Vikings win the toss and decide to defer to the second half, but the Vikings still find their way to the end zone first with a pass completion to Charlie Hayes. SMSU here with a chance to tie things up. Blake Gimble sneaks it in from 5 yards out, but the extra point is no good. Augustana up by 1 here with just 32 seconds left in the first half. Trey Hyde looks to pass but finds some room to the right. Augustana takes a 14-6 lead at the break. No score in the third until just under the 3-minute mark when Matt Heller pulls it in with one hand. That'd go down as a 4-yard touchdown for him, his first of 3 for the second half. SMSU responds before the fourth, though, with a 24-yard pass to Gail Lawson. The score's now 21-13. 13:27 left in the game when Heller makes another difficult catch, this time from 21 yards out. The Mustangs keep chasing and close in 28-20 with this Blake Gimble pass to Lawson, but Augustana would prevail. The game and the season would end with this touchdown, and no surprise here, it's Hyde to Heller from 59 yards out, and Heller leaves his defender in the dust. The Vikings beat SMSU with a final score of 35-20. Up next is our final turning point with Coach O. We'll get his thoughts on the game and find out what he'll remember most about the 2016 season. But before we go, a quick look at this week's Vikings vote. Trey Hyde finished his career with 13,235 yards of total offense. What's the Division II record for career total offense? Take a guess and we'll have the answer for you a little later.
Augustana All Access on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Classic Import.
Welcome back to Augustana All Access, and for the final time this season, I'm joined by Coach Jerry Olszewski to talk about the win against SMSU. And Coach, a great win, 35-20, a final record, ending the season of 8-3. So just really after this game, kind of what were your thoughts of the season, of that game specifically?
Well, relief from that game. Number one, we wanted to get to that 8-win mark. That's what we potentially could do. Standing at 4-3, we're like, this is what we have left in our schedule. So against a very potent offense that's done some great things throughout the year, that's what we wanted to do. And for the kids and for the seniors especially, that glimpse of hope of what might potentially be there was really important to them too. And I just challenged them to be their best. So for me, it was just really gratifying to see them, walk off the field, offense take the knee and finish the game, and just look at the smiles on their faces knowing that they did it together one last time.
Right. And we kind of talked about this off camera a little bit, but one factor that you couldn't control was the wind on Saturday. And how did that kind of play into the game plan?
It was really sporadic, but strong. There was gusts 30 to 35 at times. So we of course deferred. We won the flip, and I think Trey won every flip he took this year. So we deferred the flip, and it worked out well for us. We had the win in the fourth quarter and the win in the first quarter. But play calling is difficult in those scenarios. They did some things, threw some quick screens out, and did a good job moving the ball in the first drives. And we got a big stop inside the 5, and offense we went back and scored. But it does play into your play calling a little bit, just for how well you can drive the ball. As strong as Trey's arm is and Blake's arm is, it's difficult to do. So I'm really pleased with the productivity that we did have against the win.
Right, yeah, that's kind of just difficult, just like you said, because you just can't control it. But then it was 7-6 right before the half. You were able to score there. How big was that score going in, having that momentum before the half?
Yeah, it was big. The confidence. We stalled out on a few drives. Missed a few throws, dropped a few balls, real short on a couple of third and shorts that we didn't quite get it. But as it played out, that was a big drive. And I think we have the best 2-minute offense in the country. I mean, we score, that's our normal offense, is scoring that quickly. So I was very confident that we could do it. But to go up a score going into half, knowing that we didn't play great offensive football and that we were playing pretty well defensively, gave me a great amount of confidence.
Right. And we've talked a lot about your offense this season, but your defense has really done really well this season. Matt Wagner and Kirby Ora, I think they accounted for like 27 tackles together. But then you have Waters, Newman, and Johnson, who are all fairly young guys who put up some great numbers too. So what kind of confidence does that give you, seeing that they're having so much production out in the field?
Well, a lot, seeing that all those players are coming back.
Right.
You know, that's a relief for me as a head coach to sit and say we've got a lot of snaps in those young men. You know, Kirby is still leading our league in tackles. Matt had a huge game with 17 tackles and can run like crazy. You know, and Joey Newman has just gotten better every week he's gone into this season. And when Bryson went down, Joey really picked up some of that load, and then Zach Johnson gets thrown into the starting lineup and gets 2 sacks. So it's been kind of the MO of our defense. We only have 2 seniors, so it's great to have this experience coming back, but we need to play better. We end up being like the 6th scoring defense in our league, so overall we end up playing pretty well. But our guys know that there's better play to be had, and we challenge them to hold them to 20 points and create 5 turnovers, and that's exactly what they did. They held them to 20 and they created 5, and as a coach, you got to be extremely pleased with that. Anytime you put goals out there and your players achieve them, that's a wonderful day as a coach.
Yeah, and to know that there is that room for improvement is encouraging too. So just kind of a review for the season. Looking back, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here, but looking back over all these games, what did you think was the best game that your team had this season?
Oh, wow.
I know that's kind of a difficult one.
Yeah.
There could be several too.
There are. You know, the games early on were really good contests for us to develop who we are and what we're about. I thought the Winona game, though we struggled to do some things really well, the kids played together. Both sides of the ball did what they needed to do to get that win, and that was a really quality game for us, I thought, in my opinion. Even in the loss at Duluth, we played a good football game, just in crucial times, you know, kind of had the plays not being made, but overall played a good football game, you know, and you know, you look at 2 games this season, MSU, Mankato, and Duluth, the 2 of the teams that we lost to of the 3, really came down to 2 plays in each of those games, that if you make those plays, you know, we're a 10-1 football team, and you know, hopefully seeing you next week.
Yeah.
But that's the game, and overall I'm just really proud of the resiliency in this football team. I'm really proud of how they battled through some things, you know, in that 4-game stretch that we had, and we needed to at least go 500 or 3-1. We ended up going and getting 3 losses in that junket, and the kids held together. You know, they really did, and finished the season 8-3, and that's 17 wins in 2 years, and you know, this is our 4th year here, so
Right.
a lot of these kids are just coming up through the program, so it gives us a great launch point for next year.
Right. And I don't want to ask too many questions about next season. I think sometimes in the media, you know, we get ahead of ourselves and we don't let the coaching staff or the team really appreciate the season, kind of sit and reminisce on what all were the good things that happened. So for you, what are you going to remember about the 2016 season?
Well, I just think all the electric plays that were made. I mean, just some phenomenal. I mean, you're talking about Hall of Famers that got to play with each other here, you know, and I got to witness it. You know, records being broken and shattered, really, when you look at it. And then the explosiveness of our offense is something that I'm really going to remember. You know, to get in a 3-play, 5-play, 7-play drive, but do it in less than 2 minutes, and the play of Trey Hyde, you know, who's going to be an All-American and potentially a Harlan Hill champion. I'm not sure, but Matt Heller breaking every record that is established. Our offensive line, how they've developed and come together. And then watching our young players grow in the defense has been what I'm going to take away from this season. But you'd have to really be not too intelligent to look and say that this offense was fun to watch.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Well, hopefully you get some much needed time, some much needed rest with your family, and hopefully the players do too. But thank you so much again for all of your time that you spent with us this season. We really appreciate it, and look forward to next season.
It's been a true blessing, and the partnership is awesome. Carla, thank you so much, and the crew team with Max and the crew. It's just been awesome, and we think we're blessed to have a partner with Midco. So look forward to it next year, and hopefully making many great memories again.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we've got much more to go here on Augustana All Access. Be sure to stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Augustana All Access. You heard Coach OJ mention how historical this season has been for Augustana football, so we thought we would give you a few numbers for comparison, and we'll include some of the top plays of the season, because who doesn't like a football montage? It's Augustana, the Vikings, Kirkby over Stadium, It's faith, family, and football, and it was a season written in numbers. The season ended for Augustana with a record of 8-3, but that's the lowest numbers you'll see when you take a look back at the 2016 season. The season may have not been defined by a postseason appearance, but the records the team set will be in the history books as one of the most efficient teams in school history. Total offense, 5,617 yards. Passing yards, 3,786 yards. Total touchdowns, 65. All records set for future Vikings to marvel. But the numbers don't stop there. Individually, Trey Hyde will go down as one of the greatest ever at AU. He set a single-season record of 3,582 passing yards with 41 touchdown passes. He's also the all-time leader in passing yards with 11. That's right, 11,476 passing yards and 105 touchdown passes, totaling 13,235 total offensive yards. Number 19 moves to number 1 in the receiving corps. Matt Heller is the all-time leader in receiving touchdowns with 38, and he set a single-season record of 1,490 receiving yards and added 21 touchdowns. It's record-setting. It's 108 players from 12 different states. It's 13 seniors who start their lives without a jersey. Yes, the 2016 season has closed its curtain, but the Vikings backstage will continue to fight on. Up next, we check in with volleyball to see how they finished the regular season and look ahead to who they face this week in the NSIC Championship. Welcome back. Vikings volleyball just wrapped up the regular season with a record of 26-4, which is one of the best finishes since 2000 when the team won 30 matches. The team still has more matches to be played, but before we preview the one coming up this week, let's look at how they got win 25-26. The Vikings met with number 20 Northern State on Friday and won a tight 5-set match 3-2. Here's the breakdown of those sets. Vikings won set 1 27-25. They dropped set 2 and 3 25-10 and 25-19, down 2-1, but they made their comeback, winning set 4 25-20 and set 5 15-8. The Vikings were led offensively by Courtney Place with 20 kills and Bailey Cook, who added 13. Moving on to Saturday's match against MSUM, the Vikings got out to a quick start with this quick kill at the net by junior Bailey Cook. Up 19-9 in the first set when Danny Magis goes down for a nice save. The Dragons set up a powerful attempt at a kill, but it's Cook who saves the point with a block. Vikings win set 1 25-13. The score's 23-20 in set 2. Anna Sikora gives a nice backward set to Danny Magis. Augie would go on to win that set 25-20. And they'd win set 3 26-24, capitalizing on an out-of-bounds ball hit by the Dragons. The game against MSUM was not only the last regular season game, but it was also senior night, and all the seniors came up in a big way, helping lead the way to the win. Anna Sikora had a match-high 52 assists. Kelsey Kaufman tied a season high with 12 kills. Brittany Check posted her 9th double-double with 11 kills and 10 digs. And Danny Magis had a season-high 10 kills. Augustana finishes 17-3 in the conference, but it's back to a clean slate in the playoffs. The Vikings kick off the NSIC postseason with a match against Winona State on November 16th inside the Elmen, and that game starts at 7 p.m. The Vikings swim team added more history to their season, winning their first invitational. The Vikings scored 858 points at the Morningside Invitational. Not only did they take first, but they swam away with it in dominant fashion, finishing 327.5 points ahead of the second-place team, Iowa Central Community College. Augie finished first in 10 races, including 2 team relays. The 200-yard medley relay team with JoJo Lorne, Destiny Olertz, Julia Roberstead, and Lindsay Kreisel finished with a time of 1:54.46. And the 200-yard freestyle relay team of Olertz, Emma Miller, Lorne, and Hannah Gonzalez took first with a time of 1:42.34. The team's next meet is November 19th at College of St. Mary in Omaha, Nebraska, and then they turn around on the 20th and take on Sioux Falls inside the Elmen Center.
I think it was really exciting. I think the girls were excited. I think they swam like they were pretty excited. They got a little anxious in some races, but I think it was fun to see the number of people come out and support swimming. They're just still learning how to swim, races back to back and getting up and being able to swim fast. Every time they get up on the blocks. A lot of times during their club season, they didn't necessarily always have to get up in blocks and swim fast, but now that it's one team against another, it's all about getting up and racing. And I think they're doing a good job, and it's really going to, down at the end of the season, help them prepare for our championship meets.
Moving back to the court, but with a different net this time, we find that Mondays aren't too bad when they're accompanied by a basketball game. The men's basketball team took on Valley City, defeating them 80-64. Augie gets their first points here. It's a missed 3 by Mike Busak, but Adam Byer gets the nice putback, the senior guard would end the night with 13 points. Augustana with good ball movement here. Jordan Spencer stays just outside the paint before tossing it to John Warren, who adds 2 with this jumper. Warren would put up 13 points, adding 8 rebounds. Still very early in the game here, Vikings up 6-2 when Zach Huskins hits what looks like a 3, but his feet were just inside the line. So the Vikings only lead 8-2. Valley City State hangs in there with them and even takes the lead at 13-10 until Augie makes a fast break. Jordan Spencer goes inside, passing it out to Steven Schaefer, who sinks the 3. The two teams would have several more ties before Augie could distance themselves. They'd start pulling away after this 3-pointer by Mike Busak, and they'd go into the half with a 12-point advantage after John Warren gets this 2 under the basket. The second half was less of a contest. However, Valley City State fought to come within 3 with just under 14 minutes left, but Augustana wouldn't let their lead drop under 6 points for the rest of the way. Busak led with 16 points, finishing the night 6 of 14 from the field, hitting a career-high 4 3-pointers. He also added 8 rebounds. As far as team numbers go against VCSU, the Vikings shot 41% from the field compared to VCSU's 46%, but Augustana made up ground from the 3-point line, shooting 41% there compared to VCSU's 29%. Augustana found 26 points in the paint and added 7 points off fast breaks, but they capitalized off 19 offensive rebounds with 20 second-chance points. The game was by no means a letdown. They won by 16 points, but Coach Billiter says the team's performance had a lot to do with fatigue, playing 3 games in just 4 days.
And really not trying to make excuses. I thought Valley City did a great job. Ryan had his guys ready to play. We were 1,600-mile trip on Friday, Saturday, playing down in Oklahoma. And to be honest, I was happy. We beat the number 24 team in the country, East Central, on Saturday, and they're 2 hours from that place. We were 14 hours from there. I thought our guys really played well on Saturday. Got back about 3-4 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Just had a walkthrough yesterday and came out and played, and thought we played with some passion. Just thought we left a lot of points on the floor, but credit Valley City. They did a very good job.
Jordan Spencer explained the differences between this season and last season, and it has a lot to do with how many points fans see on the board. But he also says this team has a different identity outside of the offense this year.
Had a lot more points going up last year, like in the 90s and things, but this year I definitely think we're priding ourselves on defense, trying to keep teams under 50%, around that 60-point margin, and that's kind of the thing that we're trying to make our identity, a defensive team.
Defense is the identity, but there's actually some new faces on the court too, which means the current 3-0 record has even more room for improvement.
Well, it was a little difficult at first because me and Levi, Bodie and Andy coming in, we didn't really know the offense or anything about it, so it was a little difficult at first. And then we've got some returning guys, Jordan, Adam, Zach, they've really been teaching us the ins and the outs of the system, where to roll, where to pop, stuff like that. So, I mean, we've made a lot of progress since we started practice October 15th. I think that we're only getting better.
The Vikings are set to take on Central Region rival Northwest Missouri State on November 17th at 7 p.m. And you can find all the live stats and updates for that game at goaugie.com. Up next, we reveal the answer to this week's Vikings vote and tell you why one volleyball player gets named our Vikings Player of the Week.
Augustana All Access on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Classic Import.
Your Vikings vote question of the week. Trey Hyde finished his career with 13,235 yards of total offense. What's the Division II record for career total offense? Your choices were above 14,000, above 15,000, above 16,000, or above 17,000. The correct answer this week is C, above 16,000. Back in 2013, Tusculum's Bo Cordell set the Division II record for career total offense with 16,432 yards. It's time now for our Vikings Player of the Week, and for that we look to the volleyball court. Senior setter Anna Sikora had a weekend totaling 108 assists against Northern State and Minnesota Moorhead. She had 52 against MSUM, which is the most in a three-set match in Division II this season. Her performance this weekend also caught the NSIC's eye. Sikora earned her first career NSIC Setter of the Week honor. Again, don't forget the Vikings host Winona State inside the Elmen on Wednesday night at 7. This is the first round of the NSIC tournament, so they'll need all the fans they can get. That's all we have for you this week. Be sure to join us next week for another episode of Augustana All Access.